Sir, sir, hello, sir.
Yes, hi.
అది ఒకసారి ఇది తీసారా మీది స్క్రీన్ షేర్
Okay.
తీసేస్తే మళ్ళీ లాగిన్ అవుతుంది మళ్ళీ షేర్
Okay.
చేయండి.
Yeah.
ఓకే థ్యాంక్ యూ సార్. Okay, on behalf of management of Sri Vishnu College of Pharmacy, we welcome you to the Day-2 national webinar on current rapid growth on vaccine manufacturing regulations in India in association with IPA Education Division. So, we welcome you, sir. A. Sai Chandra Garu, Associate Manager, Regulatory Affairs, Novartis. Today, he is taking session on study on vaccine regulations and their regulatory approvals. So, before this, we will show you the video of Sri Vishnu College of Pharmacy. All the participants, you can see this.
Thank you, and thank you very much. Thanks for your opportunity. Yeah.
So once again, on behalf of our Director Sir, Principal Sir and Management, we welcome all the participants, and it's our pleasure to introduce the guest. Now the introduction of guest speaker by Madhulika.
Of Regulatory Affairs, Novartis, India. He did his post-graduation from JSS University, Mysore, with M.Pharm specialized in regulatory affairs. He has more than 7 years of experience in pharmaceutical field. Some of his areas of experience include authorizing high-quality global chemistry, manufacturing, and controls documentation for regulatory submission throughout the product life cycle, identifying the required documentation and timelines issue for global submission and to health authorities. He is also an active member of Global Regulatory Affairs (CMC) team, where he contributes to the regulatory strategies, identify the critical issues and lessons learned.
So that's
Yeah, Nagarjuna, is the voice clear?
yes, sir. It is audible.
Okay. I know previously when she introduced, the voice was not clear, so that's why. And that's fine now, it's fine. Okay, can we start now?
Yes,
Or
sir.
should we wait? Do you want to wait for anybody or can we start?
We can start.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Hi, students. And I would thank Nagarjuna Diggar and the management of Sri Vishnu College of Pharmacy for this opportunity for me to give this seminar, and I'm very honored to have this opportunity to meet you all, and this is the first time that I am interacting with the students after my college life. So thank you very much for this opportunity, and also thank you to Madhulika for the introduction, and you have made my work easy. So I thought to introduce myself of where I did my graduation and post-graduation. So since you have already given this, yeah, just a brief intro that I am from Hyderabad, and after doing my B Pharmacy and M Pharmacy, I've started my career with Orchid Chemicals and Pharmaceuticals in Chennai. So now I'm currently working with Novartis, and from the day one, I have been into regulatory science in the field of regulatory affairs. So I would say to all the students, let's keep this interactive session, just not, I would give the presentation and you will all listen to it. That will not be interesting, since I know I have also come from my college days. This is not at all interesting. So we'll make this an interactive session. If you are fine, I would request everyone to come on to the video and be visible, so that we'll interact. Feel free to ask any questions you would like to ask, because I've just completed my college only 8 years ago. So I know how the college feels like and how the seminars will be. So feel free, any small questions, any questions you have. So feel free to ask me. Okay. So would everyone mind to come on to the video so that we can know each other? And I'll start sharing my screen. Can you see my screen? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Is this video tab onto the screen for you, or you can just see the screen straight away?
No, sir. We can see the screen straight away, sir.
Okay, fine. Then that's good. That's good. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, going into this, the study on vaccines regulation and their regulatory approval. Directly going on to this, I would like to start with what regulatory affairs is, and what is the role of regulatory affairs in the pharmaceutical industry? So this is the overview of what we will be going through today in this seminar. So what is regulatory affairs and its role? What is a marketing authorization or an approval? Then what is a vaccine and how are the vaccines manufactured? Essential regulations on vaccines, because we have lot of vaccines, a lot of regulations on vaccines, and go deep into it. It's a very big science again. So I've taken up a few important points which you need to be aware of, and the regulatory approval of vaccine and the common technical document. Okay, so yeah, so anybody, since we have these MPharm students over here, and so as a basic idea, what is regulatory affairs in your perspective? If anybody could answer this. Any basic idea? Just a moment. This is interrupting my screen. Yeah. Yeah, RA plays a major role in approvals. Somebody sent it out in chat. It's a good point. So I would say if anybody is talking, please come on, unmute yourselves and you can talk. Yeah. So regulatory affairs department of a pharmaceutical company is responsible to obtaining approval of new pharmaceutical products and ensuring that approval is maintained for as long as the company wants to keep the product on the market. So regulatory affairs department is the bridge between the regulatory authority and the pharmaceutical industry. It forms as an interface between these two. So when I say regulatory authority, so what do you think of a regulatory authority? What do you think is a regulatory authority? Anybody? Yeah, regulatory authority is the organization in each country. Every country has its own regulatory authority, and regulatory authority has the right to review the product, and whether they have to give the approval or not is up to the regulatory authority. In the same way, in India, we have CDSU, that is Central Drug Standardization and Control Organization. This is the organization that takes care of the regulatory approvals in India, whether the product has to be marketed or not is taken care by CDSU. In the same way, in USA, we have FDA, Food and Drug Administrative Authority. Europe has EMA, European Medicines Agency. So in that way, every country has its own regulatory authority, and they will review the product and they will decide whether this product has to be marketed or not. Okay. So the next question is, how did this regulatory affairs come up? From where did this come up? Regulatory affairs is a profession developed from the desire of the governments. Why did this come up? To have the control on the public health, to protect the public health, because everybody is interested in making medicines, but preparing quality medicines is not so easy. So regulatory affairs department has come up to protect the public health by controlling the safety and efficacy of products in areas including pharmaceutical, veterinary medicine, medical devices, pesticides, agrochemicals, cosmetics, and complementary medicine. Regulatory affairs department is not confined only to pharmaceutical. It's there in every field now. Every field has its regulatory department. Regulatory department is nothing but who regulate the product which they are selling, who take care that this product is in line with the regulations of that country or not. Because in every field, each product is marketed in each of their countries. So every country has their own set of regulations. So the regulatory affairs department takes care that we manufacture the products and we market the products as per the regulations in those countries. And we are not deviating from the regulations. Okay. And this is not only about manufacturing, marketing, but also responsible for the discovery, testing, manufacturing, marketing. Ensure that they supply products that are safe and make a worthwhile contribution to the public health and welfare. So the first thing, the regulatory affairs we need to keep in mind is, we are the people who are taking medicines to the public, because after we get the approval, then only the product goes into the market. So regulatory affairs department has the responsibility of public health. We need to take care of the public health. We need to keep that in mind in future when we are working. And what is its role? As I said, there are several points about the role. And anybody, if you have any questions, no problem, please interrupt. Feel free to ask me any small question that you have. Yeah, the roles of regulatory affairs department. It serves as the interface between the regulatory authority and the pharmaceutical industry, and is a channel of communication with the regulatory authority. As I said before, everybody in the pharmaceutical industry can't reach out to the regulatory authority in each country. It's not possible, because regulatory authority is a very big organization. They have their own set of rules. They don't communicate with everybody. So regulatory affairs is the channel of communication through which the dealings happen in between the industry as well as the regulatory authority. And next, coming up, to keep track of the ever-changing legislations in all the regions in which a company wishes to distribute its products. So, as I said, in regulatory affairs, normally we think once the college life is over, we need not study, no, we'll be happy doing a job. But regulatory affairs is not such kind of a job. Here, every day you need to study. You need to learn. Every day is a learning, because these regulations keep changing every day. Until today.
MP?
Yeah.
Okay.
Any problem, Nagarjuna?
No, sir. No, sir.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So in this field of regulatory affairs, the regulations keep changing every day. So you need to learn every day. You need to learn the new regulations and apply this in your work. So regulatory affairs is a kind of job where you need to keep studying every day and keep track of the upcoming and updating legislations. Advising on legal and scientific restraints and requirements. That's our job actually. Because in the manufacturing industry, in the pharmaceutical industry, I'll just explain you the brief flow of process, how it's happened. A product is, research and development is done, and a product is developed. Later it is manufactured. It is given a set of controls and all, and it is the product is made ready. Now, this product will be sent for approval by the regulatory team. So before sending it to the approval, we just can't take what they have developed. It's not possible, because everybody might not have the idea of what the regulations are. So we as a regulatory affairs team need to explain them while developing itself. Which country you are targeting? India, US, Europe, Australia, Canada. Every country has its own set of regulations. So when you're developing the product, which market are you targeting? Is it the global or a specific country? What are the regulations in that country? What are the legal aspects in that country? We need to let them know. And based on that, we should help them develop the product. Because without knowing what are the regulations, after they have developed, for example, we have gone for filing approval and it is rejected. there's a lot of loss in money because lot of money goes into the R&D. So as a regulatory person, we have this responsibility to take care that there will be no rejection at the end. That is on us. Okay. Collecting, collating, and evaluating scientific data, because before the product goes for the approval, we have this clinical trials also going on. So all the scientific data needs to be reviewed. After all, as a regulatory person, you are not confined to one stream. You need to review all the documents from all the streams, from the development, from the manufacturing, from the analysis team, from the clinical team. Every detail you need to review it. So regulatory affairs is not one field where you can learn a specific subject and say, okay, I can do it regulatory affairs. No, regulatory affairs is a collection of all the fields that are there in pharmaceutical industry. You need to have the grip on all the areas of the pharmaceutical industry. The next point comes up, presenting the registration documents to regulatory agencies. As I said, we need to take this data to the regulatory agency and carrying out subsequent negotiations necessary to obtain maintain marketing authorization for the products concerned. Here, once you file a product, the agency will not agree straight away. They will have lot of questions. They will come back asking you the questions. They'll have number of questions. Why did you do like this? Why did you do like this? Why was this excipient used? Why was this material used? So this is the responsibility of regulatory affairs to answer all the questions with the agency. If the agency asks for any additional data, we have to provide them. So answer all the questions to agency and finally make sure that the product is approved in the market. And giving strategic and technical advice at the highest level in the companies. So yes, coming to this strategic and technical advice, this is where one more tactical brain of regulatory affairs comes in, where we have to see what is the product that we are marketing. Is this product really required in that country at this moment? Whether there are already other companies which are manufacturing a similar product. For example, I'll take a small example, paracetamol. Now, paracetamol is highly used everywhere. Anybody manufactures it, it goes on higher sales because of this COVID now, right? So before manufacturing the product, we have to see for which disease you are making it, for which therapeutic area you are making it, and whether that country really has the requirement. Because if that country doesn't have the disease at all in that country, then what's the use to create this medicine and send them over there? Nobody will buy it. So we have to take care, making important contribution both commercially and scientifically, whether getting this product approved is really required or not. Is it feasible? Do we get, because finally, why do we do all this? For business profits. For the companies, it is the business profits as well as the public health. So we need to take care whether really we are meeting the public requirement or not. Yeah, and helping the company avoid problems caused by badly kept records, inappropriate scientific thinking, or poor presentation of data. Yeah, now coming to this, whatever is documented, it should be documented very organizedly. I'll coming up in next slides. I'll abbreviate on this more. I'll give you more detailed information. Now we have this GMP regulations where all the data needs to be documented in a proper manner. Okay. So any questions until now before going forward from anyone?
Good morning, sir. This is Madhulika from Sri College of Science.
I mean, there's an echo on. Yeah.
Sorry for the interruption, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, can you clearly tell us about the documentation process in the companies, sir?
Yes, I'll go forward. Going forward, we have the slides of the documentation process. I'll give you more details on this in the next slides. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
So next, as I said, what is regulatory affairs team doing to get the approval? So the next question is, what is this marketing authorization or the approval? The first thing. Anybody can give a small idea on what marketing authorization is? Any idea? So,
Yes, sir.
yeah, Madhulika, yes.
To launch any product into the market, we need a marketing authorization. Once the product is completed, we need an approval from a department where we need to get authorized, and approval is needed for that. And RA is probably doing that roles.
Right, that's correct. So marketing authorization, correct, what you have said is right. Marketing authorization is essentially a license to place a medicinal product on the market to be used by the patients. So this is the license for us to, because once we manufacture it, we can straight directly go give it in the pharmacy, or what we have this Apollo pharmacy or the MedPlus, whatever the pharmacy shops we have, you can't directly go and give the product in the shop to sell it. It's not legal. It's illegal actually. So whatever the products are manufactured, they need to be applied and taken a license. We get a license number also for our products. If you see any medicine you have bought from the market, from the pharmacy shop, you will have the ML number. ML number is the marketing license. Anytime if you observe it, you will have. Anybody has observed this on a strip or a bottle or any medicine you have bought? Did anybody observe this? Okay, that's fine. So we have this ML number, which is called the marketing license. Okay, so it is a process of, what is marketing authorization? It is a process of reviewing and assessing the evidence. Evidence is nothing but the documentation which we provide. It is the evidence to support a medicinal product. Okay, so the next question is, why marketing authorization or approval is needed? What is the need for it? It is to protect the public health and ensure the availability of high quality, safe and effective medicines for all the citizens, because everybody is interested in making medicines, but making quality medicines is important, because sometimes there are a number of cases where after taking this medicine, because of this adverse side effect, the person has expired. The person has got some other side effect and he got some other disease, he got some disability. So this should not happen. Whatever the medicines we give to the public should be of highest quality, should be safe and effective. So this marketing authorization, the role of this marketing authorization is to protect the public health. And all the medicines should be authorized before they can be placed on the market. And I forgot to ask, so I'll just ask, what is your convenient? Shall we continue English, or do you want to continue in Telugu? Feel free. I'm comfortable with both. Everybody in the college?
Sir, anything of your comfort.
Anything is fine?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Fine. So the next, the hot topic of the current times because of this COVID is the vaccine. So I hope everybody is vaccinated now. Everybody got their, did you get your second dose of vaccine also? Mostly?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So, yeah. So what is a vaccine? So my next question to the students, what is a vaccine? Yeah. It's a preparation that is used to stimulate the body's immune response against diseases. Vaccines are usually administered through needle injections but some can be administered by mouth or sprayed into the nose. Normally, since now everybody is well aware of the vaccine, this COVID vaccine, yeah, for the adults, we give the vaccine through a syringe as an injection. But for, because newborn babies also have lot of vaccines to prevent them from getting affected by diseases in the near future. So, because infant babies and newborn babies don't like taking an injection, so it is administered by mouth. Few like polio vaccine is administered by mouth. Okay. So my next question is vaccine versus medicine. What is a vaccine and what is a medicine? I know it, you might already be aware of it, but a brief on this. Vaccine prevents us from getting infected by a disease. It's a preventive measure. We are acting it proactively. We are acting onto it. We are making sure that we don't get the disease. Medicine cures us from the disease by which we are infected. It's a corrective action. After we get the disease, we are taking a medicine. We are correcting something. But vaccine is not like that. Vaccine is we are taking the vaccine beforehand so that in future we don't get the disease again. Okay. And manufacture of vaccine. How the what are the different steps in the manufacturing of vaccine? So I'll give a brief introduction. So vaccines are developed from the microorganisms. Okay, and vaccines contain the dead microorganisms or attenuated. Attenuated is nothing but which are inactive. But no, because if we give the active, if we give the active microorganism, we are infected again. So that's the reason we are given with inactive microorganisms. Okay. So the first step, the bacteria or the viruses cell culture, they are cultured in the laboratory and they are developed. Okay. The second step is harvesting. The antigens produced from the microorganisms are extracted. Since you are all pharmacy students now, I did not go into this antigen and antibody thing. I'll tell you briefly. Antigen is the external organism that enters the body, and to fight that antigen, our body generates the antibodies. Okay, so these vaccines contain the antigens, so that in future, if at all we are affected by this disease or any disease, not only this, any disease, if that real antigen comes, our antibodies are ready to fight with it. That's why in the vaccines, we have this inactive antigens to make the body ready in future. Okay. The third step is purification. Impurities are removed and concentrated through physical and chemical processes. How is this purification happens? Physical process is nothing but the filtration process. You might already know in your practicals, for the steriles, we have these filtrations, and we have few specifications for filtration. We have this 0.45 micron filters, which is the sterile filter, which removes all the particulate matter. And the chemical processes are, we have different kinds of chemical process of purification, to titrations, to HPLC, to GC for analysis and all. These are the chemical processes. Since you are the B.Pharm and M.Pharm students, you know how these equipment are used in different processes. Okay, I'm just giving you a brief idea of what are the steps in the manufacturing of a vaccine. Yeah. Now the fourth step is the inactivation. This is what I have mentioned. The antigen which is there in the vaccine should not be an active one. If it is active, we are again infected. So it is inactivated. So pathogenicity is suppressed while retaining the immunological properties. Pathogenicity is suppressed so that we are not infected with this microorganism. And the antibodies are generated in our body. Okay. Then valence assembly. The active antigenic substances are combined in a single component. Yeah, they are combined into a single component because the microorganisms are they are cultured from different organisms. We have number of components coming together. So they are combined into a single component. Then the formulation, because does the vaccine contain only the microorganism? No. If it is only the microorganism, it will not live for more than 48 hours to 72 hours. But vaccine is manufactured, it is transported to us, we take the vaccine, the vaccination drive continues for a long time. So what we need to do is, we need to add the preservatives for it. Sometimes antibiotics are also added into the vaccines to increase the stability, that is the shelf life. Now, what is stability and shelf life? Whenever we buy a medicine, we see the expiry date, that is called the shelf life. So normally we have the shelf life of 2 years, expiry date of 2 years. What is it? The medicine is effective for this 2 years. After 2 years, slowly, the effect of the medicine goes down. It will not work, or it might have some additional side effects, or it might have other adverse effects. So during the manufacture, we also need to take care that what are the other components that are added to the main active ingredient. Okay. Then the next step is filling. The vaccine is filled into a vial or a syringe. Okay, and it is packed. And next it's freeze drying. This step makes it possible to remove the water in a product by transforming it into powder, which ensures a better stability and therefore a better conservation. Okay, I would ask you, why do we need to remove water? Because anybody can answer on this. Why do we need to remove water?
It will
avoid
further
contamination.
That was not clear. Can you say it again?
To avoid contamination.
Right. That's true. Because if we have water content, it will give rise to the aerobic material. Aerobic material can grow with the water, because water is the source for everything, right? We live on water. Even the microorganisms live on water. Now, if you see some places where there are stagnant water, the mosquitoes will come and develop new mosquitoes, right? And the mosquitoes will lay its egg. So water is the source for the microbial contamination. So since these are vaccines and these are sterile preparations, there should be no a minimum amount of water should not be there in the formulation. For this, we do the freeze drying. Okay. Next, packaging. The vaccine is labeled in accordance with the regulatory requirements and packed ready for shipping. Okay. So the vaccines, again, we have this. After we have the strip, we again have the outer carton. So outer carton contains what, if next time when you buy some medicine, just look onto the outer carton, because even regulatory person is responsible for approving what data is printed on the outer carton. Okay. You need to look into this. It has a name, it has the generic name, it has the strength, and again, what are the components used into this medicine are all mentioned on the outer carton. Its manufacturing date, its batch number. Batch number is nothing but every lot has a batch number. So we need to have this batch number onto the outer carton. All this data is printed according to the regulatory requirements, and even the expiry date and the manufacturing license number of the manufacturer. These are all the important things that needs to be there on the outer carton. Then the batch release. What is batch release? Okay, you have manufactured the product as per all the steps that we have discussed. Then finally, we need to see whether we have manufactured the right product or not, whether the product is correctly working or not, right? So to check this, we have a preset, we have a prerequisite. We decided priorly before starting manufacturing only. We have a document called specifications. So every medicine in the pharma industry, every medicine, every drug substance, or every vaccine has a set of specifications. After the product is manufactured, they will test this product for the set of specification. It has list of tests. Appearance, how does it look? It should be a powder. Okay. And what is the color of the powder? Even if the color of the product changes, it is not approvable. It's not acceptable. So you did something wrong in the manufacturing step. You need to go back to check it. So we have the set of specifications and we do the assay. When we do the assay, the active ingredient should be from 95% to 105%. That's the percentage that it should contain. And even sometimes we have the impurities. So impurities should also be controlled. This is again a bigger subject. So in future, when we go in depth into it, we can discuss. So sometimes these formulations also give rise to few impurities and these should be controlled. So we have the set of specification. The product is tested according to the specifications. And then once all the results of these tests are in line with the specification, yes, this batch is okay. This can be released. This can go into the market. This is tested. Now you see this QC tested okay stamp you see on a few papers and all on these products. That's nothing but the quality control. They do all the tests and confirm that yes, this product matches in line with the specification, and then it is released. Then the transport. Okay, the transport is done with a temperature control, because now you see for our medicine, some medicines are stored in the fridge. Some medicines are normally kept outside. Why is that? Because the active ingredient or the other excipients or the components which are used in manufacturing of this product are viable due to the temperature. If it is exposed to more than 30 degrees centigrade, it can degrade. It can get spoiled. So because of this, the complete medicine gets spoiled. So we need to take care that these stored in the temperature that is prescribed or it is recommended. Fine. So now we have the vaccines which are distributed throughout the world with a temperature control of 2 degrees to 8 degrees centigrade. That is the normal storing temperature of the vaccines. Even if you see now, the COVID vaccine, which everybody take, they would take it out from the thermal box, the thermocol box, which they have. Inside, they have the ice packs to maintain this temperature. Because once you do not maintain the temperature for the vaccine gets spoiled and its effectiveness is gone. Okay. So yeah, coming to the timeline. The production of vaccines takes from, this is a broad range. It's a general range from 6 months to 36 months. It takes a lot of time. Even if you see for the COVID vaccine, everybody has tensed up, like, where is the vaccine? Where is the vaccine? You also need to give some time for manufacturing also, because manufacturing vaccines is not very easy. It's a very complicated job. You see, now we have 10 steps of manufacturing that we have seen. And this is a very general thing which I've covered across different vaccines. But some vaccines are very complicated again. Okay. And 70% of the time for production of a vaccine is dedicated to quality control. What is quality control? That is checking the product, whether it is in line with the specification or not. Not only at batch release, but instead at every step, there are tests that we need to confirm. Okay, we have specifications at every step. At the harvesting step, we have a specification. At purification step, again, we have a specification. At formulation stage, we have a specification. At filling stage, we have a specification. At every step, you need to cross-check whether, yes, because once you manufacture, for example, the batch size of a vaccine is 10 lakh vaccines, 10 lakh vials. You manufacture all the 10 lakh vials and then you see that there's a mistake in the manufacturing process. All the 10 lakh vials are waste. So in order to avoid that, at every step, we keep checking the specifications. So that's why 70% of the time of production of a vaccine is dedicated to quality control, because after taking the vaccine, people should not get different side effects. Now, there were a lot of rumors that if you take Covishield, your blood will clot. If you take Covaxin, you might get some other disease. So these were all rumors, but the manufacturing companies take care that the safety of the product is well maintained. This is why they do a lot of quality tests, quality control tests on the product while manufacturing. Public health is of the utmost priority. So nobody should get the adverse, but here and there will be adverse effects because everybody is not the same. Everybody's body is different. For someone, there might be adverse effect, but they will be curable. They can go to the doctor and they can get it cured. Okay. Now, essential regulations on vaccines. Like now we have seen the manufacturing of vaccines. So any questions from anybody on the manufacture of vaccine? Okay. Okay, I'll take that as a no. Okay, I didn't see the chat. Someone has put up a message on the chat. Okay. So coming to the next step, it's the essential regulations on vaccines. Okay. Now, WHO has identified. So I hope everybody knows WHO. No, it's all the most famous organization. It's the World Health Organization. Okay. World Health Organization has identified 6 essential control functions to be undertaken by an effective vaccine regulatory system. They are to have a published set of clear requirements from licensing. This is what are the requirements, and for licensing of the vaccine, what all documentation that you need to provide. This step in clear, I'll go in the coming up slides. Okay. Surveillance of vaccine field performance, safety and efficacy. That is, after the vaccine is administered, they also need to check whether the vaccine is working fine or not. You know, recently, for example, with this COVID vaccine, how did we do the vaccine field performance? Anybody has an idea? How did we check whether the vaccine is working or not? Anybody has an idea? Because this is the most heard word. Everybody was talking about it. A specific test to check whether the vaccine is working or not. Can anybody answer? Okay, this is the antibody test. Everybody was talking about the antibody test. After you take the vaccine, to make sure whether the vaccine is working or not, they said, go and test yourself for the antibody test. If the antibodies are generated, then yes, the vaccine is working, right? Everybody has heard about it. So there are various surveillance activities to check whether in reality the vaccine is working or not. And the system of lot release. Okay, what is lot release is, as I said, batch release, testing to a set of specifications and releasing the product into the market. For vaccines, vaccine is developed from microorganisms or bacteria, as we have seen in the previous slide. And not all microorganisms act the same way. So in one vial, the vaccine is one way. In another vial, the vaccine is in another way. Okay, they tend to be variable. So to control this, normally if you see our medicines or capsules, we have a drug substance. We prepare the powder. We mix the excipients or the non-pharmaceutical ingredients, and we prepare the formulation and we manufacture the product. Once the quantity is correct, they don't change because all the excipients are the same. All the active pharmaceutical ingredients are the same. But in case of vaccines, these are microorganisms. They tend to change. So it's not same. So to control this, for every small lots of quantities, we need to check. We need to test the vaccines and see whether they are as per the specifications or not, and use of laboratory when needed. So in the market, after sending the vaccine into the market also, we have the quality control teams going to the sites and again checking the vaccine, whether they are stored correctly as per the temperatures prescribed or not, whether they are effective or not, they are in line with the specifications or not. Okay, and regular inspections of manufacturer for GMP compliance. Now here I come to this GMP compliance. What is GMP? Good manufacturing practices. And this is given up by the GMP regulations are given by all the regulatory authorities of each country. Now, what is this GMP compliance and inspections? You might have heard this. Dr. Reddy's plant has failed to pass the FDA audit, the European audit. We hear this. Otherwise, if they have passed, they celebrate it. And because GMP compliance is the most important thing. Once we file a product with a country, they come to our site where we are manufacturing the product and they inspect the site. The officials from that regulatory authority come to the site and you don't expect them, but they inspect very scrupulously. Every nook and corner of the facility is looked after. All the documentation processes they look into, because sometimes there were allegations that few companies have manipulated the documentation. That's why these regular inspections happen. They come to the site, they check how we are documenting, they look into all the computer systems that are there in the pharmaceutical industry. They see the facility, whether it is manufactured as per the regulations or not. There are regulations for constructing the building also. The manufacturing site has few regulations which need to be constructed in a specific manner. So these inspections happen before you manufacture, and now we see the advertisement that this plant is FDA approved. This plant is MHRA approved. MHRA is nothing but the agency in United Kingdom, England. Okay, so it is necessary for our products to be marketed in other countries. We need to have this GMP certification for the manufacturing plant. So this is very important. And next, evaluation of clinical performance through authorized clinical trials. Okay, as I discussed earlier, when the medicine is developed or the vaccine is developed, it is tested on the animals, and it is called as the non-clinical trials. And when it is tested on the humans, it is the clinical trials. This is the difference between non-clinical and clinical. Yesterday, whatever the seminar you had about the pharmacological, it's all non-clinical. Okay. And next, coming to this regulatory approval of vaccine. How do we go to the agency for the approval? Okay. So the first question, how do we approach? So you have manufactured everything. You have done everything. Very good. You have manufactured the product. You have documented all the data. Now, how do we approach to a regulatory authority for approval of a vaccine? Okay. So, any answers from your side? Anybody has a idea of how do we approach to the regulatory authority? Okay. The data that needs to be submitted to a regulatory authority for the approval of vaccine, or for that matter, any drug product or a medicine or anything, should contain the following information. These are the main areas of where we need to give the data. That is quality, safety, efficacy. Quality is nothing but the how the product is manufactured. It is nothing but we also call it as CMC. That is chemistry, manufacturing and control. Chemistry is nothing but the what are the different components in the vaccine or different components in the product. Manufacturing is the how it is manufactured, whether it is manufactured in line with the regulations or not. And controls, that is what I have said, quality control. How do you control the product to be within the shelf life? Okay. And safety is nothing but the non-clinical trials, which we do on the animal studies. And efficacy is the clinical trials, how effective it is, how effectively the vaccine or a drug product is working. And Okay, now we have got an idea of what data we need to present, that is quality, safety, efficacy. Then how do we give this data to the agency? For example, I'll ask you, when you have joined the college, the administrative people might have asked for n number of documents during your joining, right? Anybody can give me an example, like what kind of documents you have provided to the college when you are joining into the college? Anybody?
All the documents right from the 10th, inter and everything.
Right. We have the 10th certificate, the inter certificate, then the MSET rank card, and the ID proofs, Aadhaar card, whatever it is, from the parents, some other proofs from the parents. We have a list of documents. The administrative block, what do they say in the college? They'll give us a checklist, get all these documents with your passport size photo and all, give it to us. For example, you don't organize them properly. You give one after the other separately. Will the administrative people accept it?
No, sir.
They will simply give it back. Give me in an organized manner. Okay. That's what we have to do over here also. Whatever the data that we are submitting to the agency, it should be in an organized manner. And how do we organize it? We'll see it now. Okay. All the quality, safety, efficacy data pertaining to a vaccine or the drug product are, how are they presented to the regulatory authority? Because they should be presented in a presentable manner, because once we see it, for example, you write your exams, even in your exams, your lectures say on this presentation is important. Even if you know the answer and you don't present it in a good, with a good handwriting, with the neat side heads, if you don't present it in a proper way, you will not get your marks. In the same way, here also, presenting the data is very important. And how do we present it? That is called the common technical document. As Madhulika asked me before, how are the documentation practices in the pharmaceutical industry? Now, whatever the industry it is, when they are submitting to the regulatory authority, they have to submit in a uniform format, which is called as the common technical document. Everybody has to follow this. All the data which needs for the approval of the product is submitted in a format called common technical document. Now, which is called as the CTD. And what is CTD? Where did the CTD come up from? How did the CTD come up from? This CTD was introduced by the ICH. Okay, ICH. I'll come to this. Wait a minute. This is okay. The agreement to assemble all the quality, safety, and efficacy information in a common format called CTD has revolutionized the regulatory review process, led to the harmonized electronic submission that in turn enabled implementation of good review practices. For industries, it has eliminated the need to reformat the information for submission to different ICH regulatory authorities. Okay. Here, previously, what companies used to do is, when they used to file to USFDA, they used to give in one format. Again, when they are filing to India has its own format. They used to give in that format again. Again to Europe, their own format. To Australia again. So they were doing the rework of the same work of the same product. Now after this, International Council of Harmonization, that is the ICH, an organization was formed by all the major countries: US, Europe, Japan. Okay. Australia and Canada. US, Europe, Japan, Australia and Canada. All these major countries came together and they've discussed, everybody is submitting the same product to all of us. And again, they are submitting in different formats. Instead of this, they all came to a harmonized structure. They said, okay, we all will sit together, prepare one format. We will ask the companies to give the data in the same format. the same format is accepted by all of us. No, we will not give other separate requirements. So they have all come onto the single stage and they have given the ICH format. Yeah, this is called the common technical document. Now, all over the world, all the countries accept the common technical document, apart from few non-regulated market countries where they have their own checklist. Few small countries still don't follow CTD, but in future, all the countries will follow CTD. Okay. So, and now, how do we do the documentation in CTD? And how does this CTD look like, the common technical document? The CTD is organized into 5 modules. Okay, it has 5 modules. Module 1 is region specific. So module 1 is not common for all. I hope Nagarjun garu, I'll take 10 minutes more. I hope if doesn't mind if I cross 11 o'clock.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah. Thank you. The CTD is organized into 5 modules. Okay. The module 1 is region specific. Europe has its specific module 1 because every country, module 1 is different for every country. They have their country specific requirements. So all these documents go into module 1. US has its specific module 1. India has its own specific module 1. Europe has its own specific module 1. So it varies. Coming to module 2 to module 5, it's common. Whatever the quality, safety, and efficacy which we have discussed, the data that needs to be submitted to the agency is put into module 2, 3, 4, and 5. And they are intended to be common for all regions. In July 2003, the CTD became mandatory format for new drug applications in the EU and Japan, and strongly recommended format of choice for NDA submitted to US FDA, that is United States. As we discussed earlier, US, EU, Japan, Canada, and Australia came together and formed this CTD. That was in 2003. Now, every country is almost, they are accepting CTD because that's the most convenient format. Okay. Now, how the data is segregated in CTD. So this is the CTD triangle, and I'll explain this CTD triangle. So we have, as I said earlier, we have 5 modules. Now you see the module 1, which is on top of the triangle, is the regional administrative information. This is not part of the CTD. This is not part of the CTD. Why they say it is not part of the CTD is because it varies from country to country. Okay, this part is different from country to country. Sorry. Now, module 2. What is module 2? Module 2 is nothing but the quality overall summary. What summary does it contain? I'll go to the next step and come back to the module 2 again. So module 3 is quality. In quality, what do we include in quality? That is the CMC, chemistry, manufacturing, and control of drug substance as well as the drug product. That is the active ingredient and the formulation. Both are explained in module 3 quality. And module 4 is the non-clinical study reports. That is the study reports which are taken, which are conducted on the animals to explain the safety of the product. If we directly test on the humans, their health might be affected. That's why we first test it on the animals and then it is tested on the humans. So module 5 is the clinical study reports. That is the clinical trials which are performed on the humans is documented in module 5. So module 3, 4, 5 are the actual, which I have said, quality, safety, and efficacy. Okay. So what Madhulika asked, how is the documentation practices followed in the industries? Everybody will follow this CTD format. They are, and specifically what I am doing is, I am a quality expert. I work on the module 3. My work is to work on the module 3 and module 2. Module 4 and 5. Now again, everybody has their own expertise. Okay. Module 5 is the clinical study report. Module 4 is the non-clinical. There, the MBBS doctors and the principal scientist yesterday, the person who gave you the seminar is related to this module 4. He's from CSIR. Tomorrow you have the person from ICMR and the NIN. So there are different scientists. So module 4 and module 5 is worked upon by the scientists who are from the MBBS field or other fields. And we as a regulatory mostly work on the module 3 part. And compilation of this data is again on regulatory person. We have to, whatever the study they have performed, they will give us the documentation and we compile the data in this module. Okay, we need to review this and compile the data. Now coming to module 2. What is module 2? Because you will not expect this complete module, these modules data, if you print on the papers, you know, any expectation how many pages it will be, the data? Any guesses? Any wild guess? Anybody? If you, whatever the data is documented in these 3 modules, if you print it on paper, how many papers we are going to print it? Any wild guess? Anybody?
No ideas.
No ideas? 5,000 papers. Previously, when we used to print this, because a couple of years back, now it is all electronic. We are doing it online. Previously, it was not online. We used to prepare these documents and print it and send it through post or write it in a CD previously. When we used to print this, it would take around 4,000 to 5,000 pages. Okay, the prints are 4,000 to 5,000 pages. So the data is so huge. Okay. So going through all this data is again difficult for the reviewer in the agency. So that's why they have created the module 2, which is the overall summary. Whatever you have given in module 3 for the quality, you will create a small summary of all the module 3 data. And whatever the data you have put into module 4, you will write a small overview and a summary in 2 documents of so many huge pages. You will write it into 10 to 15 pages of document overall summary. In the same way, the clinical study reports also, you will write a small overview and a summary of how the study was performed, how many patients it was injected in, what is the final results. So module 2 is nothing but whatever the data is present in module 3, 4, and 5, small summaries are included in module 2 for the easy reference of the reviewer in the agency. Okay. Now, this is the CTD. This is the documentation format. Okay. So any questions from now on? Because again, this CTD itself is a big ocean. So we can do a complete session on CTD alone, how the documentation is done in this, how the documentation is formatted in this. So I have given a brief overview how the documentation is done. Okay. Yes. So any questions from anybody on the present until now? Somebody unmute.
లేలాకి ఇచ్చిస్తాను నేను ల్యాబ్కి వెళ్ళేటప్పుడు ఇస్తానులేండి లేలాతో ఇస్తాను. నిన్నట ఈ ఆఫీస్ వాళ్ళు కూడా వాడేస్తున్నారు నాన్ టీచింగ్ మరీ దారుణం పాపం.
Hello, somebody is on unmute.
అడగాలంటే అప్పుడు చెప్పడం.
Sorry for the interruption. Participants with any queries can leave their questions in the comment section in the chat box.
Yes, you can also leave the questions in the. Yeah, we have. Can we know about warning letters? Yes, it's a good question. So, what is warning letter is? As I said, the agencies come for the inspection to the manufacturing site. Okay, when they come for the regulation for the manufacturing site for the inspection, sometimes if the manufacturing site is all good, they'll give you the approval. They'll say your site is in line with the regulations. It's all good. Thank you. If it is not, and there are minor points here and there that needs to be corrected, it needs not be rejected straight away, but they have few corrective points, because everybody has some corrective points. So in that case, the agencies give a letter stating what are the points that need to be corrected. That is called a warning letter. Okay, warning letter is nothing but when the agencies come to the manufacturing site for the manufacturing site for the inspection, whatever the loopholes or whatever the corrective points they find out are given in a warning letter. And now MFR and BMR is related to dossier. Yes, that is again a in-depth question. MFR is nothing but the master formula record. As I said, what are the components of a drug product and what are the different, in what quantities do we add it? So that is called master formula record. MFR is nothing but master formula record, where we document of how much each quantity of excipient or the active ingredient is going into the formulation. As per that master formula record only, the manufacturing take place. Okay, and BMR is nothing but the batch manufacturing record, and it is a protocol or the set of regulations how the manufacturing happens. Now I have given my presentation on the what do we say, how it is manufactured, how the products are manufactured. So we all have a set of regulations already printed, and we have this set of instructions of how the manufacturing happens. First, how the drug substance is dispensed, after which excipient, which excipient needs to be added in how much quantity, how they are mixed, at what speed they are mixed, how the tablet manufacturing or the tablet compression takes place, how the vaccine filling takes place. These are all documented into a document. These are all those instructions are documented, and this is called as the BMR. Okay. Now, how they are related to dossier is again the next thing. Now I have explained the CTD, right? CTD has the different modules, and whatever the documents you have mentioned are all related to, they are called the source documents. You know, we are writing the quality information in module 3. Based on which do we write the module 3 is based on this. Yes, the MFR, the batch manufacturing record, the pharmaceutical drug development report, PDR, which is called as the PDR. These documents, based on these documents only, the regulatory person will write the CTD document. Okay. I hope I have answered your question. Yeah, if patent is expired or inactive or infringed, then what is the role of marketing authorities? Yes, once the until the patent is not expired, they don't accept the generic applications. Anybody who files a product for the very first time is called as the innovator. That is the branded drug. And they will, since they have done a lot of R&D, they have spent a lot of money into the research, they have done the clinical trials, so they have spent a lot of money. So in order to, that's why they are given this patent period or the market exclusivity, where they are given a period of 10 years. Until the 10 years, they should only market. Other than them, others should not market in the others should not manufacture the product also. So they can sell the product at their own prices. Okay. Once the patent is expired, they will start accepting the generic applications. Generic is nothing but a copy of the innovator drug. Whatever the drugs we have in India, or whatever the drugs are developed in India, or mostly our companies are all generic products. Only Dr. Reddy's went on to create a innovator product for insulin, but that's also in the clinical trial stage, and it was left over again. But mostly in India, most of the companies are generic companies. Hope I was able to answer to the point. Yeah, what is the development difference in 351A and 351K? Okay, this is again in depth. Now this goes into the module 1 of the dossier. This is the different types of application in US FDA. So the development is the same. Development is almost the same. It's a different type of application that they are filed. So I have specifically not worked on the 351A and 351K applications. So yes, I can look into it and come back when you can. You can contact me. Nagarjun Reddy sir has the my contact. So yes, I can give you more information on this again.
Thank you, sir, for your valuable time
Yes.
and your patience answering. Thank you so much, sir. Now I hand over to Sanjana for oath of thanks.
Good morning, sir. I, Sanjana of MPharmacy second year from the Regulatory Affairs Department. It's my pleasure, sir, to share the vote of thanks on behalf of our director, sir, principal, and our management. And we are grateful for the time and efforts you took to share your valuable knowledge regarding the R&D and also an overview regarding the regulatory affairs and the vaccines and its regulations and manufacturing process. I really thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. I am very much honored for this opportunity also. And yes, if you have any questions further, yes, you can feel free to contact me. And I'll also leave this presentation for you through Nagarjun sir to you, and you can have this. And I'll also share my contact details or mail ID to Nagarjun sir, and you can mail me any other questions that you have. Thank you so much. Thanks for this opportunity.
Thank you, sir. Now I request Dr. Nagarjun Reddy, sir, to conclude the session.
Sir, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
For your patient, first of all, for your patient answering all the queries, and also for your topic, sir. It really enlightened our students who are studying mostly regulatory affairs. Frequently, they will ask the questions for us, what is BMR, what is MFR, you can show it or not, or what is dossier form. We can tell theoretically, but industry persons like you are looking forward. We have to take them to the industry and show what is meant by documents or what are SOPs, cleaning records, CAPA. These and all some of the documents that we can show to them, and also they can acquire knowledge from them. Really, thank you, sir. Really, thank you from so much. Our bottom of the heart from management and also Vishnu College of Pharmacy, principal and director, and also especially from us. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thanks for the opportunity, and yes, we'll be in touch. We'll continue doing this. Yeah.
In your leisure time, it's our pleasure to ask you some of these presentations. Not frequently, whenever you are in leisure times.
Sure. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. With this regard, I am concluding this session, and tomorrow on day 3 we will meet again at 10 a.m. Day 3 webinar.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Have a good day ahead. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.